Welcome to Gardening Jeans. Now I have to admit that this has been a bit of a tough week for me. There isn't much that can keep me out of the garden, but something's been happening this week that has definitely put a damper on my gardening activities, and I wanted to share it with you. Now we live in an area where there's a lot of wildlife. I mean, we deal with deer and bunnies and fox and woodchuck and raccoons and possums, even the occasional bobcat wandering through. And I love seeing all of them and enjoy sharing my garden with all of these critters. But in the 30 some odd years we've lived here, we never have had to deal with a black bear. And this bear has somehow decided that our yard and garden is part of his new territory. And he's been showing up at very inopportune moments. And that is the one thing that frightens me out of the garden. So I'll tell you what happened, and I'll show you some of the videos that I've taken of him. So the first time that the bear showed up, Tom and I were up working in what we call Leia's garden. And we're doing a lot of work, especially this last couple of weeks, because we're preparing for a backyard wedding reception that we're going to have here, which is something we're very excited about. However, I was in the back and probably a good 100 feet away from the house, and Tom went toward the front yard. I think he had to go grab a tool. And the next thing, it's like a scene from Jurassic Park, because he's screaming, "Run, run, get in the house, run now." I didn't know what to think. The only thing that went through my mind is that maybe there was, a rabid animal, coyote, or maybe a raccoon or something that didn't look healthy, and he was afraid, that it might come after one of us. So what did I do? I grabbed my big dirt rake, which has a big, heavy, metal end to it, and I took off for the house. But when I got in the house, and I followed him to the front of the house, there was this very large black bear tearing down our bird feeders. I had never seen one, in the wild up close like that. So that was quite the experience. But that was not the end of it. So we did what's recommended. We took down the bird feeders and didn't think any more of it. Figured he'd go wander off, although we had been seeing some things on Facebook and on some neighborhood sites that showed that a bear was visiting other neighborhoods in the area. But again, we thought it was kind of a one-off. 5 days later, I pull into the driveway after going shopping, and I'm getting things out of my car, and I turn around, and there is this bear not 40 feet away from me, just staring at me. Was I unnerved? Oh yes, very much so. So I sat back down in my car, and we stared at each other for a while. And I didn't think to hit the horn on the car to see if I could scare him, and I probably should have done that. But he eventually sort of turned around and turned his attention to something else, and I took that moment to head for the garage. Garage door was closed, and get it open and get myself in the house. And he wandered all around the house for a good long time, sniffed at the vegetable gardens, went back to the original bird feeder that he had torn down to investigate that, and then headed across the street to the neighbor's house. And of course I called them. They were home and outside and got themselves in the house. And the bear proceeded to go and tear down the bird feeder in their backyard. The only thing that really bothered me is that I heard later that the neighbor had actually been slamming pots and pans together and trying to make noises to scare this bear, and this bear was not deterred at all. Obviously, he's one that's become somewhat habituated to humans. And to me, that's scary. So I don't know if any of you have had to deal with black bears in your garden, but right now I'm afraid to go out too far in my garden by myself. So let me know. Let me know if you have had this experience and how you handle it. So something that I forgot to mention when I was recording earlier is that we did call the Rhode Island DEM, especially after that bear's second visit. And they did send a very nice gentleman out to talk to us. And he did tell us, the things that you're supposed to do. And they were the things that we had Googled and had seen online, that you're supposed to make yourself look big, you're supposed to make a lot of noise, you're never supposed to run away from a black bear, and that they can very often do what are called false charges. And if it does that, you're supposed to hold your ground. Still not very comforting. So, anyway, let me know what you think.